I said the most important thing is for us to have somebody who can actually speak to the topic, right? Who can speak to the topic and who can actually, give us a taste of what we need. Somebody, if you've ever been for any of my webinars with Coach FAA, it's always fire. Like, she delivers like her life depends on it. Anytime after the webinar, I always get emails saying thank you. So please, if you don't, go and get your pen and paper. See my own here. I have my notebook, I have my pen. So please,
when you
don't have it
when
here.
you webinar.
Go and get.
Yes,
Victoria, can you help us mute? Thank you so much. Thank you. Right. So let me do introductions. I hope Coach FA is still here. Let me just make sure so that once I do.
I'm very much here. I'm just changing my router. There's load shedding here in Joburg as well. So I'm just trying to just move a few things around.
NEPA is striking.
ESCOM. It's called ESCOM here in South Africa. It is well. Let's just put it like that. It is well.
Fantastic.
It is well.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to do the honors by, first of all, reading your bio. And I'm literally going to read. So guys, because I don't want to miss anything, this is a special guest and we must make sure that we give her the introduction that she's due. So Coach Falake Adeni Adeleye is a regional HR executive and certified executive coach and founder of Coachivate's. Victoria, can you put the link to Coachivate's Instagram page, please, on in the chat so that people can also follow her and so people can follow her. Thanks. She had 23. Yeah.
Glory, I actually sent a list of links and stuff that Victoria might need on the call, and then I've sent her my slides as well.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, good. Okay, thank you for doing that, Coach FA. So her 23-plus-year career spans industries such as management, consulting, strategic advisory, oil and gas, telco, and information technology. She's a seasoned corporate executive with extensive experience in the fields of international human resource management, talent management, strategic business partnering, and organizational development in leading global multinationals, overseeing local and regional portfolios. In her current role as Regional HR Director, overseeing the Sub-Saharan African markets at a global IT MNC, she collaborates with business executive stakeholders in both emerging and developed markets to implement global people and talent management policies. She's also a certified life coach, NLP practitioner, and a member of various professional associations. She is unapologetic about her passion for education, empowerment, and elevation of women. She's an immediate past member of the Executive Council of WIMBIZ. And while she resides in Joburg, like she's just said, she's also married to Adeni, a real estate investment banker. And they have 2 amazing teenage daughters. Fantastic. Coach FAA,
I don't know about that amazing, no.
They're amazing, John. They're amazing.
They're amazing in Jesus' name.
Amen.
You know teenagers. Glory.
Oh, dear. So, Coach FA.
Yes.
The floor, as usual, guys, the way this is going to work, she's going to present, and then we're going to have a Q&A. I'll have some questions. So I'll start off with some questions as usual, and then we want this to be very conversational. So we want you to come with your questions as well. Okay, Coach FA, I'm just going to mute myself, off my mic, open my notebook, prepare my pen, and I'm ready. The floor is yours.
Very, very well. Thank you so much. Yeah. Hi, everybody. So good to see these faces, at least for those of you who showed your faces. And thanks for being here. It is always such a pleasure to collaborate and partner with the LinkedIn queen herself. It's very difficult to say no to Glory, especially when she knows how what my schedule is like, working 2 jobs. So it's never really been easy, but it's not very easy to say no to Glory. When she comes calling, it's like, Glory, okay, let me see if it's possible. So it's an absolute pleasure. And Glory, thank you for everything that you do. I always say to clients that have exploratory calls with me, when I check their LinkedIn and they say they are in transition and they want to reposition themselves for new roles and so on and so forth, I'm like, but your LinkedIn profile, there's something that I'm missing. Before we talk, please go to Glory. Let's see exactly what's going to, to happen. So, she has said it all, so I don't think I need to reintroduce myself. There are details that you can obviously get, especially about my likes, my passions, which is not necessarily in the bio. That's available at coachivate.org. I see a lot of my people here. Please let me shout out, first of all, to my Coachivate insiders. Thank you for joining us. I see some familiar names. BT, good to see you. I see other names. I might not be able to call everybody because I know that we are pressed for time. So let us get straight into it. All right. Where are my slides, Victoria? Or what do I need to click or not click?
Victoria, please, can you help us share Coach FAA's slides? So just click on share screen.
Yes. So I don't necessarily have to do it here. But guys, thank you. So you have to put it on slide share. I love you too, BT. Every time.
Coach FA, can you see the slides are up now?
Yes, but I need them in slide share. Let's not put them in this.
Okay,
so
you mean in presentation mode?
In presentation mode, yes, slide share. So you can enable editing, and then go to the slideshow for exactly.
Thank you, Victoria.
Exactly. Thank you, Victoria. All right. So I say it again and again. Please go, yes. Okay, the next one. So I say it again and again, and I don't think I will get tired of hearing myself say it. In fact, when I talk to a few of my insiders, I talk to my clients, they say yes. So before I say it, they are practically finishing the sentence. So Victoria, if you go to the next slide. The most powerful professional in the room is the one that is both self-aware and intentional. And ladies and gentlemen, we're not talking about self-awareness for the sake of it. We're actually talking about self-awareness from the point of view of not just knowing yourself and your strengths, but where do you stand? What are your likes, your dislikes? What is your impact on people? And how are you also perceived? How do people perceive you? All of those are actually quite important. But over and above that, how deliberate are you? How intentional are you in getting things done? How proactive are you? But intentionality is not just about proactivity. It actually starts with you knowing, or you thinking, you having that mindset of being able to be deliberate about your actions, about your goals, about your intentions. In fact, that's always so important. Okay, next slide. For some reason, I don't know what I pressed here. I'm not seeing the slides. Let me see. I think I have switched to screen share. I beg your pardon. Okay, here it is. Thank you. We look at 2021, especially after coming from a very, I don't know what word, use that word, very dash 2020. What was that 2020 for you? We're coming from a very dash 2020, and for me, it was, oh gosh, I don't know whether to say an awesome 2020, to say a terrible 2020, to say guys, the words fail me. But the truth of the matter is this: as we go into 2021, despite what it is showing us already that it is capable of, let us begin with what exactly do you see for 2021? There's a lot that's going on, and we've said we want to help you set goals in uncertain times. The new normal just talks about uncertainty. However, I wanted to start with, despite the fact that we're coming from 2020 and into 2021, what do you see? What do you see? Do you see uncertainty or do you see opportunity? Do you see what it is that is so negative about it? Or do you see yourself rising, yourself doing more, yourself being more? Are you so caught up in everything that's happening around you? Or are you extremely deliberate and intentional that you know what, despite everything that 2021 is bringing, I am going to make it my own. I am going to be in control. I am going to be in the forefront. And trust me, for people like us, I don't know about you. I think I have heard of about no less than 6 deaths. And today is the what? Today is the 16th. I'm looking at my laptop when I turn this way. Today is the 16th of January. And I have already heard about some of them indirectly related, some of them, close to home. And you're just like, a few days ago, the fear gripped me. It was almost like I was numb, like, God, what exactly is going on? But guys, we're looking forward. We're trucking on. We know we live by grace. We know we live by mercy, but we are not giving up. We are going to be plugged in to the right source to get what we need done. But despite all of that, the truth of the matter is that, we are not in normal times. So what should we really be looking at? The first thing I wanted to do, and if you go to the next slide, Victoria, is really for you to have a check-in today. It's not just about the goals. It's not just about those realities. How are you? How are you doing? How are you getting on? So let's not even talk about goals. What is your state of mind? Because you know what? I'm not saying that you have to be well, you have to be perfect. Victoria, I'm seeing your pretty picture. Thank you so much. You look awesome. You look awesome in this color, if that's Victoria. So I'm waiting to see the slides. But how are you? If you think of yourself along this is now about your well-being, along those dimensions, how exactly are you? How are you doing? How are you taking care and protecting your state of mind? How are you being mindful? Mindfulness is not anything that has to do with new age or anything. Mindful is just making sure that your mind is full, of course, full of the positive things, full of the things that are important, full of the things that are that will serve you well. So if you think about, and it's a good thing I have my laptop here, Victoria. So whilst the network comes on, what I'm talking about here is really when it comes to the different dimensions of well-being. You do a check-in with yourself, or perhaps do a check-in with your coach, or perhaps do a check-in with your therapist, or perhaps do a check-in with your who else becomes quite important to you that is trained to really be able to do this. Maybe your counselor, your mentor. What exactly is your state of mind when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to your finances? Because it's important to know exactly where you are. When we talk about setting goals and wanting to achieve them, you cannot give what you don't have. You cannot give what you don't have. It's important because when you then check in and you're like, you know what? I'm not just going to set a goal, excuse me. I'm not just going to set a goal for the sake of it. I'm going to make sure that I get to the point where I'm actually in the right frame of mind. And therefore, what are you doing to make sure that socially, intellectually, physically, emotionally, spiritually, your spirit, soul, and body is extremely important. How exactly do you make sure that you, Betty is saying she wants the green drink. Thank you, Betty. You've come again. So, we are on slide 4, Victoria. Thank you. So I'm not going to spend too much time here. I've already talked about it, but now it's in front of you. How are you? How are you really? And you know, some of us, and I don't know if it's not, don't wait for the company to ask how you are. Don't wait for your friend to ask how you are. Don't wait for your husband to ask how you are. You check in and say, how am I? And therefore, if I need help, what help do I need? Some of us don't cry for help. Some of us don't ask for help. And it is so important. At any point in time in my life, my career, my working 2 jobs, my raising teenagers, my marriage to an executive where we have, you know, a dual career home, I do not fail to surround myself with people that can help me. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. For what? At what age and what stage? I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. So I will surround myself with spiritual mentors. I will surround myself with therapists. I will surround myself with people that I can talk intimately and confidently to. No, in confidence, I beg your pardon. I will surround myself with career mentors. I will surround myself with business mentors. Come and tell me how you did it. Tell us how you did it. Tell me what pitfalls I should look for. And when I am sick, sick can be intellectual sickness, emotional sickness, social sickness. I'm like, please, I'm here. I'm not well at all. Spiritually, I'm not praying, I'm not reading my Bible. I don't even know how it's doing me. Speak up. Because ladies and gentlemen, before we talk about goals and career, and setting our intentions and our goals, let us first be real with ourselves. Let us first be real with where things are right now. And all I'm doing for you, all I'm saying to you is, assess where you are. Someone said to me, and I was so impressed at her, Ada, she sent me a message at the beginning of the year, said, Efe, I have decided this year for myself that I need, for my personal development, I'm going to get a coach. And that person is you. I didn't even know she was watching me. She had been seeing, that's for her own personal development. She's been intentional, not just about her of course, about her well-being, but now about her career and her, and I'll tell you, I'll give you more details as we go along. I don't want to spend too much time here. We have work to do, and I know Glory is looking at the time. Next slide. Okay, it's not doing. Okay, Temitope Adenuga, I thought you were Victoria. So I've looked at these along a few R dimensions. R dimensions meaning reflect, and I'll keep using those words: reflect, recalibrate, refocus, restart. What's the other one? Results, and so on and so forth. So for me, when people talk about a new 2021, forget 2020. It's just there, and you can read the slides as I go along because I don't necessarily read my slides. I know you can see my slides, so I'm going to just tell you what your insights and what it is that you should be thinking about, But guys, let's not look at 20. Some people say, forget 2020. I don't even want to think about 2020. Leave it. It's gone. I'm glad 2021 is here. I tell you, it's good to see you. I'm glad it is here. I'm glad it's gone. Ladies and gentlemen, people like me learned from 2020. People like me learned about myself. Hey, some things I did not know. Some of you know. People like me, 2020 from a coaching point of view was one of my best years. And it's not just about the funds or whatever you get from it. No, but that I had the opportunity to coach and get good at what it is that I'm doing. I had the opportunity to attract people. I had the opportunity to go back and, create it again and again, because people now agree that, by the way, I don't need to see my coach physically. She can be online, I can be online. Once Zoom settled everything, it now became a case of, okay, what served me well? Let me look at it properly. And how can I bring what served me well in 2020 into my 2021? So before you start to set your goals, before you start to set your intentions, and I keep talking about intentions because again, living your life intentionally is awesome. It is the best thing that you can ever, once you get into your own, once you get into you, people, I can talk about visibility, influence, presence, and the thing that I do. I can talk about it passionately for days. So let me go back to career goals. But when you set your intentions, ask yourself the right questions. And please start taking your start taking your questions down, start writing them down or sending them to Glory. But guys, ask yourself the right questions and be real with yourself. I always say to my mentees, I say to my clients, when it is only you left, you and you in the room, can you be real with yourself? Can you tell yourself what you really don't want to hear? Can you go to that person who you know will be brutal with you from an honesty point of view, and they can really tell you, you know what, you suck at this. What you did that time, crap. However, this is what you can do. So when I say, what are the areas that you fall short? Please, let's not blame everything on COVID. What are you in control of? The ones that you are not in control of, okay, let's leave it alone. We discount that. What about the ones that you were in control of? Did you give up too easily? Did you find yourself in a quagmire where you didn't really need to be? So again, look at what you can carry over. Look at what really served you well. What people, who are your allies today? I talk a lot about relationships and being able to identify the right people in your life. Who are your allies? Who are your friendly rivals? Who are your mentors? Who is your coach? Who is that person? Who is your spiritual director? A friend of mine always says, and she's on this call, she always says, oh, you know what? When I need to find God in a new way, or I need to just bounce, I know who to go to. When it's about my career, I know who to go to. And it's the same thing when it's about parenting. I know when it comes to love and sex, I know who to go to. Are you thinking about these things? Because what I will tell you in a few minutes is that it is important, it is important to manage your goals in such a way that you can categorize them. But let's move on. So what does it mean to set goals in uncertain times? If you go along, Victoria, that will be awesome. What does it mean to set goals in uncertain times? And I know it's a busy slide, but ladies and gentlemen, it is so important for us to hear this. It's important for us to keep it at the back of your mind. And this is one of those slides that I said to myself, do we want to put this at the beginning or we want to put it at the end? And I thought, you know what, let's set the tone with this so that when you then start to set your goals, you really have this at the back of your mind. And setting goals in uncertain times is not the same as when you set it even in January 2020, because pandemic didn't really happen until what, March, and I remember it was about March 17 when he said, well, we're not going to work anymore. This is happening, that is happening. So focus on what you can control. What can you control and what can you not? Be realistic, about it. Because what you then need to think about is when you're talking about what you can control, think about, okay, what time is required to get that goal done? Are there any financial requirements? For those of us that work, are there any regulatory requirements? It's not a goal. And this is where flexibilities come in as well. You set a goal, you're supposed to, let me give you an example. You want to learn a different language, Alliance Française. And they say, well, we're going to do social distancing, you have to be there. And Lagos State shuts down the bridge, the following day or for the next 1 week, and you didn't see that coming. That has actually affected your goal. So again, it's making sure that you prioritize those goals, and that's the next thing now, right? Anticipate disruption. So you are no longer living in a perfect world. Create short-term goals I tell you in another slide where you can create 30-day goals, 60-day goals, 90-day goals, create short-term goals. Well, let me tell you something. This is not, we can't come and kill ourselves, honestly, Lori or COVID. In terms of this COVID, for those of you who don't understand you, we can't come and kill ourselves. But the reality is this. Anticipate the disruption. You already know you're not in a perfect environment. You already know, I mean, anything can happen tomorrow. Yes, we are praying. Yes, we are fasting. Yes, we are, just wanting things to really get better. But when you set your goals, anticipate that. So be flexible. When you're thinking about a goal, perhaps you have to then, determine what options you have. Perhaps when you talk about goals, instead of like, oh, I want to do 5 things, maybe this year, think about 2 broad goals, 2 broad objectives, And by the way, if you think about the time that you have and you're like, oh, well, I can get this done, I can get that done, perhaps it's time to actually set fewer goals than you think you have time for. That is extremely important, ladies and gentlemen. When you now talk about the next point here is learning new skills to push long-term priorities forward. And what I mean is that when you think about, okay, I want to start a new business this year. I want to start an interiors business. What are you actually doing about it? What can you do about it now? Are you going to get a business coach? Are you going to shadow somebody else who is already doing, a business? What do you have to learn? What new skills do you have to garner to actually do that? For some of you, you want to launch online courses. You actually have that knowledge and you can break it down for people and they can pay you for it. I'm giving you an idea. You pay me. But yeah, so think about it. If you want to launch an online course, first of all, you have to learn what it takes to get into an online, to do an online course, and so on and so forth. That's what Stephanie Obi, who also runs Train Quarters. That's what Stephanie does. She helps you to launch your online course. So I'm just saying, think about it also in that way, so that you're not just waiting until the end. You're saying, what can I also do now whilst I have the time? Accountability is important. It is important to make sure that you set the realistic expectations. Accountability is not just about getting an accountability partner. And that's what I mean by find a buddy. But let me tell you something, when you talk about an accountability partner, please don't joke about, find somebody that will hold you accountable. Even if they are your friends, you know that's that kind of friend that they will not even look at your face or look at your, I remember some of my friends were, even though we might be shedding tears together, I can say something, this is not the time for your tears. Let's look at how we are going to move forward. Oh yeah, clear your face. How are we going to move forward? An accountability partner keeps it objective. They love you, but they are able to tell you the truth. Please find an accountability partner. Executive coaches are automatically accountability partners. We have nothing to lose by making sure that you what's the word that has now escaped me? You are able to achieve your goal, and we make sure that you do. And by it, if we need to hear certain truths, we have to tell it to you. It's not about love at this stage. It's about what you need to get done. If you need to create systems around your goals, again, in uncertain times, take advantage of the fact that you have systems, you have tools, you have applications that can help you keep track, that can help you. For some of us, we want to be able to wake up earlier so that we can work out. It's not just important to say, oh, I want to work out. No. When do you want to wake up to work out? What kind of workout do you want to do? Some of us need to get that granular. Are you going to get a personal trainer? Are you going to watch a fitness video like my daughter, there's one fitness video she's hooked up on, and she does it diligently every day. If I see her, I just look at myself and go like, you cannot Jones, you can't look at this 16-year-old that is disciplined and all of that. Create an accountability plan for how am I going to hold myself accountable. All right. Let's move to the next one. I'm also conscious of time and I really want us to discuss and get into the meat of it. So what about setting goals? What can you do? And you know what? Oh, even when you go to the internet, there's a lot about setting goals, right? But for a 1 hour call, there are a few things that I really wanted to bring to your attention in terms of tips that you can carry along just to make sure that at least you can start somewhere when it comes to setting your goals. Ronke, good to see you. And the reason I've put this on the left is it's important to, as you go along, I said, we can't come and kill ourselves on this matter. We cannot come and die because there's a pandemic, by God's grace. But so don't be too hard on yourself. And that's what I mean here when I say reset, readjust, restart, refocus as many times as you need to. For some of us, we even set the goals in, and I'm not saying, jettison it, but I'm saying when the time comes to go back, don't be afraid to go back. When the time comes to say, you know what, at this goal, I know we are in March and I've not even started. This one, I've completely failed. Don't be afraid to reset. Don't be afraid to restart where you need to and just, make it a working document again and again and again. Some of us, for people like me, I didn't set goals at the beginning of January. So in fact, I said I wasn't going to, I was going to take it more like, I knew a few things I wanted to do in 30 days, in 60 days, 12 months. Okay. Assuming I set 12 months goal in, where would I be? Now. And there's nothing wrong with setting the goals, but I'm saying that nobody anticipated COVID. And if you did, please, you should come to your house and start praying in your house, but you didn't tell anybody, So it is so important to make sure that despite the fact that you have those intentions, the first thing is, what do you see? What do you see about yourself? What is possible? Let your thoughts, don't be afraid to dream, because goals actually start from your dreams, right? Then they translate into ideas, then they start materializing into goals. And what I was saying is that I didn't have my goals in January 2020, but by the time I came into like October, honestly, a few of my goals then started stacking up. Not that I goal set in October, no. But I'm saying that in October I had, so these actually are my goals for the year. I actually have them and I've achieved some of them, And what's the purpose of goals if they're not meaningful? What's the purpose of goals if they don't tie into something that makes you happy? Yes, I know you have to work. Yes, I know you have to put food on the table, but by all means, set a goal for the real you. Set a goal that really gives you a sense of purpose, joy, peace, that raises you spiritually, that connects you more to your source, to your God. It's important. And that's why I said, when you then set goals, categorize your goals. And I'm going to give you an example of goals in a short while, but, categorize your goals. Let your goals speak to the things that are important, not just for your well-being, but what about your career? What about your finances? What do you want to do newly with your relationships? Who do you have to invite into your inner circle? Who do you have to let go of? Who do you know that it is time that this person, from a mindfulness point of view, from a productivity point of view, they are draining me. They're not doing anything to add to me. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to tell yourself the truth, but categorize your goals. And for some of us, it's not just a case of category. Again, don't do too much. Break your goals down. 30 days, what do I need to do? 60 days, what do I need to do? Again, just passing by to actually give you a few tips and tricks. Now, if we go to the next slide, we're always talking about SMART goals. And SMART goals, some of us hear the word SMART and we're like, oh my God, here we go. This SMART goal, how? But you know what? SMART goals are really just, it just helps you to aim higher. Because if you don't set goals, I don't need goals. Okay, it's fine. If you set nothing, if you're actually aiming at nothing, you will hit it. You will actually hit nothing. So if all you do is that you set this in front of you and you give yourself a sense of purpose, a sense of achievement, which is actually important for your well-being in these days, that in itself honestly is enough. Start somewhere. you know, and what I've put in front of you is, you know, don't be afraid to make your goals smart. Yeah, you know, I told you to let the ideas flow. I said it in the others. I said, let your ideas flow. Let what do you need for joy, peace? Set an intention board. For some of us, it's a vision board. Same thing as an intention board. This is it. This is where I see myself this year. This is what I see myself, you know, doing. This is the kind of picture. This is the kind of office I want to see myself working in. You know, this is the kind of husband that I am going to meet. And mine is the kind of guy, not husband, sorry. Not, we don't want to meet somebody else's husband. This is the kind of man that I'm going, you know, and you might, for you, it might just be setting an intention board. And you know, when you see certain things, it's then easier perhaps to then set smart goals. And I've seen you the difference. I've shown you the difference. I hear you, Glory, amen. Man goals, amen. So, it's not enough to say, I want to work for an NGO this year. I want to get a job in Ford Foundation. That's what comes to my mind. I don't know why. Ford Foundation. Okay. I want to get a new job with ACT, you know, and ACT is an NGO, with ACT Foundation. And no, it's not enough. Yes, that's an intention. But how do you then translate it into a smart goal? You want it to be specific, you want it to be measurable, so that if it doesn't happen, how do I know if it happens? How do I know at which stage I'm at, and so on and so forth? It has to be realistic. What is the point of saying that you're going to be traveling somewhere every month, you know, because you want to travel the world, you know, this year? A lot of the places you want to go, they're not even allowing you to come in there, you know, and they themselves are not going out as well. So again, set realistic goals and put a time frame to it as well. And it doesn't mean that you will not come back and change it, you know, but it means that, okay, you know what? Yeah, I've actually made this smart. Bring on the next one. And this is where we're actually almost done, because I want us to definitely go to question and answer. Let me give you one goal that you should certainly make sure that you focus on this year, if you're not going to focus on anything else, especially for those of you who not only will need, you're talking about personal development, you're talking about, you know, getting a coach, you're talking about being more visible on LinkedIn, you're talking about repositioning yourself, you're talking about searching your strengths. You know, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? No weaknesses. Now, how can you build on your strengths? For some of you, it's not about building for your strengths. For some of you, you need to come to me and say, FA, what are my strengths? What are the things that I'm extremely good at? And that's what we use the Gallup Strengths instrument for. We tell you what are your top 5 strengths, what are your top 10, so that you can adapt it and work seamlessly, powerfully, and, you know, being outstanding at what it is that you do naturally. There are certain things that I will not do. There are certain places that I will not go and get something there, because I want to play in the area of my strengths. And perhaps that's one of the career experiments that you want to do this year. It's a career experiment that so for somebody that has said, and I said it before, you want to create an online course, what are you doing about it? Are you having fact-finding, you know, conversations? Who are you being curious, with? For somebody who says, well, you know what, I want to be more, I want to, you know, present myself as a thought leader on LinkedIn. You've been saying it for 2 years. Glory has been there, yet you haven't done anything different. So again, don't be afraid to step out and do some career experiments. Do you need to take a class or a course? Do you need to volunteer at an NGO? You've been saying, I want to do something about an NGO. I want to set up an NGO. Have you registered a name? Have you got into the NGO to even, do you know somebody there? Have you asked Glory or Coach FAA, who are the people in your circle? Because you know what, I want to volunteer in an NGO. I don't mind going after hours if they can take me maybe for 2 hours, or if they're doing something on Saturday. For some of you, you want to perfect your writing. Are you doing anything freelance? Start something. Don't be afraid to experiment as we go along. And my final slide, ladies and gentlemen, you know, this guy is somebody that amazes us again and again and again. And you know, when you talk about greatness, when you talk about breaking records, when you talk about bringing in we just loving the thrill and the impossible. But the thing about it is that what is it that Usain Bolt, what does he do that we do not see in the background? This guy has got his grit going. And I remember speaking to a mentor of mine at the beginning of the year, and we're almost like, you know what? It's already January, and why does it feel like things are falling up? I said, Folake, it's going to be a tough year. We've already started in it, but you know what? We've got to get our grit going. You have to develop some grit to be great. I have to use that before Glory uses it before me. You have to, where am I going to write it? You have to develop some grit.
You're not serious.
Where did then, Glory, if you use it, you have to make sure you put my
I will
name
attribute
there.
it to you, no problem.
You have to get some grit to be great. Where is your courage level? For some of us, our courage has taken it. Our confidence has taken a beating. Our perseverance, follow through. Because let me tell you something. Even when we know that organizations need to do differently with wellness of employees and, you know, where their state of mind is and stuff like that, what will distinguish one employee from the next is grit. What will distinguish how far you are going in your career is great. You just keeping at it. And let me tell you something, it's not always easy. And that's why I said you need to surround yourself with the right people. You have to make sure, what am I doing to constantly stay positive? And what am I doing to be mindful? I'm going to stop here because of time. Thank you for your time.
Coach FAA, as usual, dropping gems.
Glory.
You have to get some grit to be great. Hey, in fact, I was already writing it down. Next thing I just heard you say, let me use it before Glory. Oh dear, thank you so much, Coach FAA. That was amazing. For me, I think my biggest takeaway from this really was, this is setting goals from a different approach, if I'm honest, right? So normally, you know, when you think about goals at the beginning of the year, I'm going to lose 40 kg. I'm going to get, you know, it's always very, very harsh in a way, you know, we almost destroy ourselves sometimes in the quest to achieve our goals.
Yeah.
So just a slight segue before I come to my question. So last year, I was going through a lot of burnouts. I was burnt out, really exhausted, tired. And towards the end of the year, I was doing some reflection. And I realized one of my biggest lessons from 2020 was to become the person that achieves all these things I want to achieve. Me, Gloria, I have to become a different person. And so that took the focus off the goals and the focus on me and put the focus on me. And you know, it's so different now because what my mindset is now becoming the person that attracts these opportunities. But it also allows me to rest. It gives me permission to rest, because we don't give ourselves, as women, you are running, especially if you're married, you have kids, you feel like as a woman you have so much to prove, so much to do, so you feel like rest is not for you. It's a word for other people. So one of the things, when you have that kind of mentality, for me anyway, one of the things that came through for that was rest and prioritizing me. And I think you kind of said that. So that links into what I've learned from today, which is why I said I think this is really setting goals from a different point of view. And I really like that slide where we had the different elements of you, where you said, how are you? Really, right? And checking in with ourselves. And there were other points in the presentation where you were also saying, you know, reevaluate, recalculate, and readjust as much as you need to. Like, can't come and die. On top of goal setting, you know, and also giving room for disruption things we don't know. Nobody has a crystal ball to know what's going to happen at the end of the year. We're all praying for good things, obviously, but
Yep.
just giving yourself that room to know that, things can change. And then even I like what you said about setting 30 days, 60 days, 90-day goals. But fundamentally, another thing that struck me here is the importance of the right network and support structure, right? Whether it is through accountability, through friends that you can have intimate, you can confide in. I remember you corrected that. They say, you can speak to confidential in a confidential way,
Yes,
And I
yes,
think
in
that is so
confidence.
important this year, in
Yeah.
confidence, yes. I think that's so important because so that we don't lose our minds, we have a space where, I remember last year, there was a time I was going through quite a lot. My mom was ill last year. And one of the first things I did was I looked for a psychologist because I'm like, you know what? I live alone already. Everybody is on their own in COVID. My mom is in a different city. I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to go crazy.
No,
So
I hear you.
I need a psychologist. I need to see somebody. So thank you so much for sharing this perspective as opposed to, and yes, nobody's saying you shouldn't be ambitious, you shouldn't want to achieve things. But I think really this is looking at goals while being kind to yourself so that you don't lose who you are and you don't want to achieve goals that are not even your dreams. How many times have people gotten to the end of the rainbow and thought, really? Is this it? Do you understand? So thank you. That's really my perspective.
Yeah.
That's really my perspective from here. So thank you so much for sharing.
You
Now,
are
I wanted to,
welcome.
having said that, my question, and I see people are putting questions in the chat. My question is, where is the balance, Coach Efe? Where is the balance of I'm being kind to myself, but I don't also want to be lazy, right? So that's one on one hand. Then two, I go on Instagram. So I'm being kind to myself. I'm all kumbaya. I'm taking it easy. I go on Instagram and other people are smashing goals that I desire, right? That's number two. Number three, so all these competing things, because there's one thing about having Zen and then there's one thing with the external pressure and what your mind will be telling you. Where is that balance?
The first thing is that, does our world really balance at the end of the day? We are all running races, but you are in your own individual race. Or should I say we are all in a race? But let me tell you something, our goals and objectives are different. Instagram is not and should not be your benchmark. If you benchmark against Instagram, you want to kill yourself. Because Instagram is not necessarily the real world. Benchmark yourself against your best self. That's really what you should be doing. And look at your objectives. If you look at your goals, again, be realistic. If what you can do this year is achieve 2 or 3 things, set 2 or 3 things for yourself and achieve it, that's fine. Don't pile it on. For those that are piling it on, how are they doing it? Perhaps do they have money to hire 10,000 people? They have a PR person, they have an admin assistant, they have a makeup artist that is at their beck and call, they have somebody who thinks through their strategy already. Whereas you're only by yourself and you want to set the same goals that they are setting. How? So this is about you. The real balance is in making sure that you run your race, not the race of somebody else. Run your race at your own realistic pace, but making sure that you still challenge yourself. And remember, even when you're not sure, am I challenging myself? Is this simple enough or what? That's where your mentor comes in. That's where your accountability partner comes in. If you need clarity, that's where your coach comes in. That's where the balance is at the end of the day. Balance in itself is a journey. It's not a once and for all. It's a journey. I hope I did some justice to that because I know other people have questions.
Yes, Coach Efe, I think That was such an amazing answer. And I think, so I took notes. Something that you didn't catch is another quote, Coach FA. Should I tell you?
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Should I tell you something you didn't catch? Instagram is not real, is not the real world. That I wrote that down. That's a nice quote there. But what I really like, so I think that was what I liked about that answer was, okay, how do you now know you're stretching yourself? That is when you can now think about your coaches, how coaches are helping you, your mentors, your sponsors, and things like that. So thank you. So that's where you now know that, okay, am I really stretching? Am I really hitting the top level of where I can be hitting? So my next question now is identifying these people, right? So there are quite a few people that you mentioned that we need in our world as we are approaching these goals. So mentors, coaches, accountability partners, especially. How do we identify the right accountability partner for us? So maybe you can share your example of how you've been able to identify some of these people.
Your accountability partner, above all things, and I said it earlier, they need to be able to tell you the truth. They need to be able to be brutally honest with you. They need to they need to be able to identify with your goals. So it's not something that is typically, strange to them. But when it comes to holding you accountable, there should be no fear. They need also to be more consistent. They need to be consistent in getting that done. So you have to find people around you that actually have that. You need to have people around you that have that level of tenacity, of honesty, but they are still looking at it for your own good. I always say, for some people, their spouses might be their accountability partners. When I finish my sessions with my clients, I always say to them, as much as possible, I would prefer that you don't make your spouse your accountability. There's also there's an emotional connection already, but you want it to be objective. So that it's not the day that both of you are exchanging words and you're like, oh, anyway, that matter will settle it later. Come and do my accountability. Come and be my accountability. You that you just shouted at me, I beg, go and put that accountability in. Put it to, even though they had agreed a few months ago that they will be. So you have to be able to identify the person. And if you have none of those people around you, then seek out a coach. Seek out a coach. A coach, the job of a coach is to help you be accountable. The job of a coach is to ensure that you reach your goals, no excuses, and really be able to get the best out of you. All right.
So a question, Coach FA, let's go back to the beginning. A lot of people are like, goals, when it comes to goals, they are like, I don't have clarity. I don't know what my goals should be. I remember I was coaching some people even last week. And one of the things I was like, okay, we're going to set network according to our goals and things. But like, how do you know what should be your next career move? So specifically now with your career, how do you, for you personally, how do you frame your goals?
So when you say frame, what do you mean? I understand the question, but when you bring in the matter of framing, what do you mean?
So when I'm saying framing, as in how do you frame it in your mind? How do you decide, okay, this is what's next for me?
You know how I talked about the race at the end of the day, and at the beginning I talked about setting intentions. Intentions become ideas, ideas become goals, and so on and so forth. I was literally talking about myself. If my intention today is to make sure that I book a certain amount of clients, that then translates to a goal, okay? And it then becomes, what is the habit I need to develop for that goal? What is the ritual I need to develop for that goal? What are the routines I need to put around that goal? That is so, so important. For some of us, I said, you know what? Oh, I don't know my goal. I don't have it. You have a sense of purpose. You have things you want to do. You have something that brings you joy, peace, happiness. You have something that gives you a sense of responsibility towards humanity. Set it, it's an intention. Make it then, what are the ideas that are coming from it? From your ideas and you bouncing it off somebody else, you getting clarity from your coach. And by the way, part of the work of an executive coach is goal setting. That's normal. They will help bring out in fact, they will get your goal juices flowing from the point of view of, part of what they're supposed to do is really to give you the tools, the techniques, the tips to get those goals done. So what I would start with, for example, is what is your sense of purpose? What is the value that you can add? And how do we begin to bring ideas from? How can that value bring you income? Does it mean that you need to pivot? Does it mean that you then need to change careers? Well, I want to do something different. What does that then translate to? So that's really the place to start. Starts with what gives you joy, what gives you, what brings you value. From a career point of view, for those of you that are in your role right now, what about goals around how you want to be more visible? I have a mentoring circle coming up in, that would be from March, April. We actually have one now that's almost full for those who actually want to start a new role. And this was by popular demand. People say, you know what, I'm starting a new role. I need to know how to, project myself. I need to know how to win in the first few months. So I came up with an executive mentoring circle, and you can, that's on the website as well, or even on the Instagram page, on the link tree. How do you make sure that you accelerate your transition into the new role in the first 90 days? That's somebody's goal. So that when you start your new role, you're not wondering, you're not, looking all over the place. You are clear about what needs to be done. You are clear about how you build relationships, how you build allies, what you make extremely important when it comes to showing up strong in your new role. Okay, so again, goals around visibility, goals around influence, goals around presence. Those are always a good place to start, apart from the different other ones around your promotion and things like that.
Goals around visibility, influence, and presence.
Yep.
I love that.
That executive mentoring circle, and we're not campaigning it yet, but it will be called Upgrade to VIP. Upgrade to VIP. And it will be about people that are destined for the C-suite, right? And they need to work on their visibility, their influence, and their presence. And for those that are even interested, I mean, you can start emailing me now. I hope Veronica can put
even
me,
I'm interested, Coach Efe.
Why not?
Even though I don't have a job, I'm starting in 90 days.
It doesn't matter.
Interested.
The job you are starting in 90 days, that one we're doing in January, we'll be sending out the emails. I think we have just a few slots left. People have started jobs already, but for those that are already looking to resign or they know they need a new job, they're going to be on that mentoring circle. The second one,
so it's two different things.
It's two different executive mentoring circles.
Okay.
It's two different ones.
Okay.
So the one about accelerating your transition into a new role or a new job, whether internal or external, that's the first 90 days, okay? And then there's going to be the second one, which will be March, April. That's the one where we're talking about upgrade to VIP, or upgrade your VIP, as it were. So that's really winning for those that are going into senior roles, or those that are already in senior roles and they are moving higher, or they need to work on it. So we're going to talk about confidence, the issue of fear, the issue of, mastering your imposter syndrome, the issue of making sure that from an influence point of view, how do you position yourself, or how do you reposition yourself? We'll talk about presence. Presence is not just about packaging, Glory. Presence starts with who you are. It starts with how you feel. It's about how you manage your stakeholders and so on and so forth. So those are the things that we will bring out in the second executive mentoring circle. That will be March.
Amazing.
April. And for those that are interested, you can already send a mail to me at reach out at coachivate.org to say, hey, please pencil me down for the VIP executive mentoring circle, and we'll do that.
Okay.
You wanted to ask me a question?
No, I was going to say, Victoria, please, if you can, I think Victoria has been putting up some links. If you can also put the email as well, so that people can see that. Thank you so much for sharing, Coach FA. So my next question is around failure. So I've set goals in the past and I failed, right? I didn't. And so now I'm hesitant to be ambitious, to think, I'm just a bit hesitant. What should I do? And how do I reapproach this goal setting thing?
So I didn't necessarily get that. I didn't necessarily get the question.
So I've set goals before.
Okay,
so I've set goals before. So there are a lot of people who set goals before. Last year I said I was going to lose weight, I was going to save money, I was going to invest more. And each time I haven't met any of my goals. In fact, I haven't gotten 50%. So now I'm hesitant about setting more goals because I'm just like, what's the point if by February I'm even going to just feel defeated? So I feel defeated is essentially the emotion I'm carrying into 2021. So how can you rise above that to still aspire?
It's a really great question. And I said it at the beginning. First of all, before you do the goals, I said do a check-in, because you cannot give what you don't have. But you know what? The check-in has to be continuous. That check-in has to be continuous. It's something that you have to make sure that again and again and again, you keep doing that check-in. It's not for you to start in January and you're not checking in throughout the year. You're not being alone with yourself. You're not speaking to anybody about what's really going on. And you find out that by March, April, you are completely burnt out because you haven't, gotten any rest. You haven't gone on any holiday. You haven't intentionally set your leave. Glory, every public holiday in South Africa is already in my calendar as days off. But God help you where there is a day off on a Monday or a Friday. It's long holiday for FAA. It's long holiday with no apologies to anybody. And I start to talk about it early with my boss. I just don't spring it up. Oh, there's a public holiday on Thursday. I'm off on Thursday and Friday. After all, it's my leave, right? So again, it's really about that planning. So be intentional about what you need to do in the middle of it before you burn out. You know that you're somebody that doesn't work well under pressure. What do you have to do to prevent the pressure? You cannot, I beg your pardon, you cannot prevent the pressure, but how do you wade through the pressure? How do you go through the pressure? It's extremely important. Who are you looking to counsel? Right? And you know what? What if you then fail? What if you then fall on your face? After all, life is about failing and falling, but getting back up. Life is about getting back up. It's not about who has fallen. It's about you falling, but making sure that you rise again. So I'm saying don't be too hard on yourself. You failed at this, you're falling on your face, get back up. And if you cannot get up by yourself, by all means, reach out and say, you know what, I need help. And I said that for some of us, that's the main issue, to say, I need help. There's a friend of mine who, for a season, we might talk a lot about her and her issues. There's a friend of mine, and there is a season that I might talk about me, but something I appreciate her for. Even if, for like, I know you're a coach, you're a mentor, but how are you? How are you yourself doing? And I have to just think deeply and be like, you know what? Might not be well, or I might need it. Maybe I need some rest, or maybe I actually need to be more, deliberate about my own coach as well. So I hope that at least gives you an idea.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much, Coach Efe. Yes, it does. So at this point, I'm going to ask anybody who has a question, who hasn't sent it to me directly, to unmute themselves if you want and ask a question, because we'll be rounding up. now. I have one more question for Coach FA, but if you have any question, please unmute yourself. You haven't sent me your question already. I think all the private questions I got, I've asked them. So if you have any questions, it's now your time to unmute yourself. So we'll just give people like 30 seconds to see if there's anybody who has a question.
My name is Bukola Thomas, and I do have a question.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so Coach FA, what if your goal is, I just want to get off this job, and I don't particularly have anything I want to do, but I just want to stop a particular job? Is it, I mean, I know people say there's financial implications and all that, but in terms, is it okay for someone to just say, I just actually want to stop?
Coach FA, you're muted.
I said, can you please repeat that? Did you say what if somebody is stuck?
No, I said, what if you just want to stop? So, I mean, setting a goal, and the goal that you actually want to set at that point is, I just want to stop.
Okay, I just want to stop. And you know what?
Yeah.
If that is a goal for you in line with your race, because it gives you peace of mind, it brings you joy, it gives you a sense of fulfillment, then so be it. Then so be it. There's nothing wrong with that. And it just means that you are going to be in transition. But it then means that what would you be doing when you are in transition? And if it's to sit down and do nothing, be smart about that goal. I want to end my role. I want to end my job. I want to exit my job by the 30th of March. And I want to be in transition for 2 months. And in the transition, I'm going to carry out 2 different career experiments. Or in the transition, I'm going to do nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. Make it a goal, make it smart. But if you then still want to build a career, if you then still want to build a job, the most important thing then is that you do not delay at the gate of transition. Do not delay at the gate of transition. Measure up, be very real about what that transition is for you. But yes, and by the way, it's a good goal to have, because what it means is that you are being intentional. You're not waiting for anybody to push you out or to give you a retrenchment letter, or you know that it's time. Or somebody forces you to, you know that it's time. So it's a goal that I like. You are being intentional about, this is the end time for my career. This is another starting point. Why not if not? I hope that helps, Mrs. Beatty.
Yes, it does. Yes, I actually like the fact that you said do not delay at the gate of transition. I think that's another brilliant quote from you.
Thank you. Don't use it though. That if you use it, you put my name there. Thank you.
Okay, Coach FA, we had another person just sent me a question.
Okay.
And she said, tips, if you could please share some tips about transitioning into international rules. Tips, let me just make sure I read that properly. She says, talk about transitioning into international rules. Are there tips she can share? Yeah.
I have transitioned into an international role. It takes 4 coaching sessions to even get you through that. So how do you want me to answer that in 1 minute? What I'm going to say is that it takes a lot to transition into international roles. It is not, as we say in Nigeria, it's not beans, but it's not about beans and Gary right now. It's that it takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of being proactive. And this is from everything from preparing yourself, and I don't mean just physically, because you have to prepare yourself physically, where you may move to may require more stamina from you. So it talks about preparing yourself physically. How are you preparing yourself for the role? Your level of cultural diversity, your level of unconscious bias. How are you making sure that you don't shoot yourself in the foot? You identify and build the right allies before you start the job, on the job. But you know what? I'm not going to do international roles for my accelerate the transition into your new role. But if you are looking at an international role right now, please sign up for that program. It's something that will do you well, because I probably will touch on it from here to there. But there's a lot that you need to do. It's not just a case of tips. It's more about preparedness as opposed to just what you need to do. I hope that helps in terms of what you need to start preparing.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay, she's just replied. She says, yes, it does. She just replied me. Okay. She said, yes, it does. So thank you, Coach FA. Is there anybody else that wants to unmute themselves and ask a question before we start to round up? Okay, so I'm going to ask my final question, and who knows, maybe this question will now open up another kind of warmth. But Coach FA, what have been some of your personal mistakes, right, around goal setting? What have been some of the mistakes that you made when it came to goal setting?
Awesome question. Some of it was not being real with myself. So not being realistic. So I set a goal, for example. Let me give you an example. When I wanted to start Coachivate, God help me, I said, oh, I want to coach. I want to do executive coaching. And I was clear about what niche of executive coaching I would play in. But I also said that I wanted to go digital. That means I wanted to start it digital from the get-go. I wanted to be online. I wanted to have my website. I wanted to have a presence, online. But I didn't do enough research. I didn't do enough curiosity conversations. So my goal was not really realistic, because I started making projections for what the kind of people that I want to get in the first 6 months. This is who I want to coach. This is how how I'm going to go about it. But the mistake I made is that I wasn't realistic about what it actually takes to be a coach, but to be a coach online. Two completely different worlds, I tell you. So of course, being online then means that there's a lot to do, from just maintaining that presence, getting the word out, inspiring, teaching, educating people about coaching in itself. And I'm like, by the second month, I'm like, I hadn't started coaching. Glory, I'm like, Jesus, I want to coach. What have I gotten myself into? I just want to coach. So I was first of all real with myself that, you too, you have gone beyond this. Because what I then did was that I then had to backtrack and go back to ground zero. What do you need to now do properly? At first, let me give you an example. I had somebody who was just doing quotes and posts and everything. I realized that I needed somebody to do more. That means I needed more capacity. I needed a different set of competencies in terms of who I would then get as an executive coordinator or somebody like that. So I had to hire somebody to manage my queries, manage the inbox, be able to respond as the the first line of response, arrange my programs. Yes, the content will come from me, but how do they present it to you? How do you keep visiting the Coachivate handle on Instagram? How do you make sure that there's always something new for you to see on LinkedIn? I mean, that takes work, but I couldn't be bogged down with that work. I just wanted to coach. So I had to go back to the drawing board. And then realistically now, how long will it take me to put this in place before I can start doing this? Does that mean that I can only coach a certain number of people in a month, since I am hand-holding this executive coordinator as well? So on and so forth. It is so very important. The most important thing is pick yourself up. Pick yourself up. Don't be afraid to tell yourself the truth. And what I then did was, I then started to surround myself with people who have done this before, people who would tell you as it is. Larry Olushola is one of my coach mentors. And whilst he might not play in executive coaching primarily, He helped me birth, Coach Yvette, but he so drilled me. He so drilled me, the nitty-gritty of it. So that right now, I'm shining with no apologies. With no apologies. But that's because I fell and I rose again. And I fell and I rose again. And if I fall, I will rise again. I hope I've not taken the thunder out of the whole question.
No, thank you so much, because I think that really encapsulates a lot of the things that you were saying around, recalibrate if things don't work. So it was a really practical example. Yes.
Thank you.
And then also going to find the people that can help you. So this was a perfect question to sort of wrap everything up, I think. So if there are no more questions, are there anybody else with another question? Okay, so no questions. So we're going to wrap up now. Thank you so much, Coach FAA. This was amazing. Learned so much. I'm getting ready to receive all the emails of people saying thank you, and I'll forward them to you as they come along. Some quick announcements to everybody. So one of the things, Coach FAA said something very important. She said, what are your visibility goals, your influence goals, and your presence goals? Well, one of the things that we are doing this year, 9to5Chick, is we are coming up with a list of top 100 career women in Nigeria. Now, why are we doing this list? We think it is time that women in corporates get the visibility they deserve for the great work they do. There are a lot of women, yes, that are visible in corporate, but I find that even when we are trying to find speakers to come and speak to corporate women, it gets a bit tough, right? Because there's not enough visibility for all the women in corporate that are doing amazing work. So what we want you to do is please nominate. So Victoria, if you can put the link in, yes, thank you so much. Let's put the link. Please, if you want to nominate yourself, please don't feel shy. Nominate yourself. The nomination form, you can fill it as many times as you like. Nominate yourself. But a clear thing there is you must tell us the reason why this person is being nominated. So it's not just to go and put names. Just be putting names. You must tell us why you are nominating that particular person. So please make sure you nominate. Victoria, are there any other announcements that I need to make? Okay, nominate, and yes, please share to others to nominate as well. Share to your friends, share the link, as many age bracket, no age brackets. There's no age bracket. Please nominate. So we are trying to give 100 women, and really we want people to be like, oh, I never heard of this woman before. Oh, I've never heard of this person. That's the kind of list we want, right? So please nominate and share with people. Victoria, what about the app? You say yes, ma'am. The app. What do you want to say about the app? Please tell me. Before I forget, I have clearly forgotten. But in the meantime, guys, also for 9to5Chick, I know we have some Coachivate people here. If you'd like to find out more about 9to5Chick, you can send us an email on 9to5Chick@inspiredbyglory.com. Remind them of the nomination. They can send to their network. Also great to mention we are. Oh yes, thank you so much, Victoria. Yes, we are also going to be launching. So for our members, our web application, a lot of you gave us great feedback last year. And so our app will be launched, hopefully, fingers crossed, next month. So you'll be able to go on your phone, no need to be logging into a laptop and all of that. Go on your phone, just like how you have the Instagram icon. Somebody is smiling. Yes, finally. Just like how you have your Instagram icon and you're getting those notifications and things like that, you'll be able to get that. Yes, guys. So we're working on it. There are also some amazing, yes, here we're upgrading. Yes. Yes, I know you guys, thank you so much for being very patient with us. Thank you. We are listening to your feedback. Also, we have some amazing changes that are coming up this year. One of the things, and we're going to have a huddle soon. For those of you that know, our huddle is when we come together and we just talk about the things we are trying to achieve. And we said we'll be doing one per quarter. So we're going to announce the date for that shortly. One of the things we want to do this year with 9to5Chick is we want to transition from just doing webinars to actually having practical visibility sessions. So actually now helping you become visible to the people that matter to you, right? So if you have anybody you want us to invite, for another networking session, for a speed networking session, to come and speak, or you want access to that person or anything, or you have any specific visibility goals, please email me directly, glory@inspiredbyglory.com. So just title the email 9to5Chick visibility goals. So this year, my goal is to help 1,000 women become visible, and 9to5Chick women are part of that visibility tribe. So please make sure. Thank you so much, Coach FA. So, and also let's not forget Coach FA. Coach FA is an amazing coach. She has 2 programs going, one 90 days, how to transition. A lot of times when you get a new job, your first 90 days matters a lot. The allies you make, the networks, the stakeholders you identify with, how you carry yourself, how you position yourself in those first 90 days. Very, very important. Victoria has shared the links. Maybe she'll share them again, please. And if you know anybody who's starting a job, I can tell you they would benefit from this. Please share with them. Also, the second thing she mentioned about the VIP, I am registering for that. So I'm sending an email because I need it. I need it. So I'm going to register my intentions. So join me. Let's all do it together. Fantastic. So as we do, and as is customary here, we usually unmute ourselves all together to say thank you to our speaker. So I'll count 1, 2, 3, and then at the sound of 3, just unmute yourself and say thank you, Coach FA. Okay, and make sure it's a loud one. Oh, make sure it's a loud one. Okay.
Break my
so
eardrums.
1, 2, 3, go. Thank you,
Coach FA.
Thank you, Coach FA.
So much.
Thank you
for having me.
so much.
Thank you for having me.
We love
Thank you so much.
We love you.
Thank you so much. I see you. I see you too. I see you. See many of you. Hi, Tozi.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Coach FA. I always
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you, BT.
Fantastic. Okay. All right, let's allow you go and enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much for being here. We are so grateful.
Thank you for having me, Glory. Always a pleasure. And looking forward to the next one soon.
Yes. Fantastic. Bye. Good night, everybody.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye. Good night.
Bye. Thank you.